Hello, and thank you so much for tuning in to your ROH post show. Great to be back here. Second episode of 2025, closing in on 100 episodes of the new ROH brand, as they had pointed out on a couple times on commentary. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I'm joined, as always, by the wonderful SP3. SP3, how you doing today?
I am doing wonderful indeed. I am happy to be here on a Thursday, talk about some Ring of Honor with my favorite person to talk ROH with, Kate here. We got to talk about Chris Jericho doing hometown segments with the Rock and Roll Express. What is this, 1990 to 2000? But hey, it was fun, and he's here, which is pleasant. We got to talk about Harley Cameron maximizing all her minutes. Trish Adora getting wins. Kate's happy. There you go.
Man, the only reason I wouldn't want to be here talking about this right at this moment is because I want to go watch that Nigel doc so bad. We're going to get around to all of that and more in a moment, but please leave a thumbs up on this video. Please subscribe to FightfulSelect.com as well. Soon to be the best $6 in the business, or you can cash in for a discounted rate if you sign up annually at $54. But the news about Malachi Black went up there right around the Dynamite episode yesterday. Kind of later felt like almost confirmed by Will Ospreay on screen. He was certainly kind of hinting that that Buddy didn't necessarily need Malachi to get something cooking, but plenty of that news and more going up on Fightful Select. Tons of New Japan contract news that went up, as is typical at the end of the year. Some fun stuff coming out of Wrestle Dynasty as well, and Wrestle Kingdom. So subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. I'll give you the hard sell even further in the show, because we always have people that trickle in, and I don't want to nag you guys twice, but I will. I'll just do it a little more lightly than usual. But some chats to kick us off tonight. This is what I'm jealous of. I didn't realize it was going to be short enough that I could watch it between. So I'm going to have to go watch it after. But Feely Dreepy saying that Nigel doc was definitely worth a watch. I hope we can get him and ZSJ at Forbidden Door this year. I think that's the hope of a lot of people. I know Nigel has said in interviews that Zach is someone that's on the short list of like what this stage of his career looks like to wrestle someone. SP3, I watched the incredible post shows that you and Rob Wilkins and Lyric put on over the weekend, talking about Wrestle Dynasty, talking about Wrestle Kingdom. I think we were all in the same boat that the match with Shota and Zach was not the best, probably extended for time due to the broken arm injury earlier in the show. The match with Ricochet was a bunch of fun, but a lot of people are like, man, he better hold it till Wrestle Kingdom next year because y'all did him dirty. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but certainly Nigel challenging for the title would be something special. That's also easily a program you could do non-title. We will dive into this episode, but I did want to touch on the fact that I thought it was a really cool surprise to not have Willow, not have Athena win the first ever Women's Dynasty Cup. I thought that was it gave it its own special thing. And I know a lot of people were rooting for it to be Athena, and I understand why, but I think it was so cool that it was Momo instead. It makes it feel... I feel like a lot of times we get these AEW-driven collaborations and AEW comes out the winner. Even when they 50-50 stuff, AEW still kind of comes out the winner in a sense. And because the women's picture is something that has been such a roller coaster and receives a lot of criticism, I just kind of assumed like it would probably be Willow, maybe Athena. But the fact that they gave it to Momo was really cool. Athena also looking great in singles action over the course of this weekend against Tekla. Really, really, really good stuff. Since you covered both of those shows and I watched them kind of sleepy and didn't cover them, I just want to get your thoughts on Athena's performance specifically over the weekend, because she is our minion overlord, and I thought she looked outstanding over the course of the weekend. And your thoughts on kind of the ROH implications that happened. We also saw the tag champions retain, things like that. I'll throw it to you for your wisdom on this.
Well, I really enjoyed Athena versus Persephone versus Momo Watanabe versus Willow Nightingale. I think they did a really good job of highlighting all the women in that matchup, and our minion overlord, our forever Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, the Fallen Goddess Athena, looked amazing out there. She's just in a great shape right now as well, and it's just
Yeah.
allowing her to move very faster in the ring. And I thought that she looked good. She was up for the moment. She kind of, you could tell how happy she was to perform in the Tokyo Dome. And I was very much, I liked the finish of the matchup because it was a surprise, and it paid
Yeah.
off. Whatever, like the kind of like storytelling building or like sowing of the seeds that was the day before on the Stardom show when Tekla and Athena teamed up and won their tag match, but they argued in the post match. Tekla challenged Athena for the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. Athena turned her down, and then Tekla was the reason why Athena didn't get the win in the four-way. And then Momo basically using Athena's head as a baseball in the Tokyo Dome. I like the fact that Momo got the win too, because she's felt so much like the bridesmaid, but never the bride when it comes to a lot of Stardom. And as of late, like she challenged Mercedes Moné at Capital Collision and lost to her for the NJPW Strong Women's Championship. She challenged Mayu Iwatani for the IWGP Women's Championship and came up short there. So like it was just too many times of her like coming up short in those big matches. She needed a big win, so I was glad that she got it there. As far as the Sons of Texas versus House of Torture, they kept it to the pre-show, so I appreciate that.
That is good.
And it allowed people to come up with jokes for me because they know how much I hated this match. They was like, this is the House of Torture versus the House of Texas. That popped me. That popped me. Someone said that to me. Yes. I was like, this is the House of Torture of U.S. television for me. Is the Sons of Texas and why they have all this gold. But it was fun for like the last bit when Sammy and Dustin started hitting all their big moves. Canadian Destroyer, Final Reckoning, all that stuff. Nice moment for Dustin being back in the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, that was special.
Yeah, first time since he teamed up with Dusty in the 90s. So that was really cool. That was really special. So like that stuff. And overall, I think Wrestle Dynasty really set the bar on the show of the year. I think like top to bottom, it just had some great matches, some great moments. And I don't know. Will Ospreay about to have to do some wild stuff, even better than what he did last year to top Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd at Wrestle Dynasty. That is unlike anything I've seen in quite some time. It's one of the greatest matches I've ever seen.
I think it was Boo who said that there is still, as incredible and excellent and amazing as Will Ospreay is, and if he's your favorite wrestler, you think he's the best wrestler in the world, I can't make an argument against that. But there is still an artistic gap, meaning that the storytelling that Kenny Omega brings is just a couple levels above what Will does from, I guess it's more like the facial expressions, because his match pacing is always excellent. The move execution is always excellent, but there's just something with Kenny where his whole body is telling the story every second with every cell in his body. And I feel like Will does that probably for 80% of a match. And then 20% of the match, he's doing such insane shit in the ring that he probably can't do both at the same time yet. And I think in a couple years from now, he'll probably be where Kenny is with stuff like that. Because he has a thirst for knowledge and improvement in that way.
And he's gotten better from his matches with Kenny in 2023. And I feel like because of those matches, because of matches with like Okada and Tanahashi, he's learned a bit more psychology than when he had like back in like 2016, 2015, when he was coming up on the UK indie scene. But if I could put it into film perspective for anyone who are film buffs, Will is like a mix between Michael Bay and Quentin Tarantino. He could go either way. He could go either way with what he's doing, or he can mix the two together, and it's great stuff. And he knows what to do. He has the big moments, the big explosions. He knows how to do that type of stuff. Kenny Omega is Martin Scorsese. Like it's just another level. It's just another. He's just his psychology. He just gets everything. He knows that every little purpose, every little thing in the matchup, not even like not even like a move, not every little move, every little thing that you do in the match, it makes the whole story. And that's why the matches with Okada are like movies when you watch it back and you can remember particular moments, and then he calls back to it. And then this match with Gabe had callbacks to his Okada match in the Tokyo Dome, had callbacks to his Ospreay matchup in the Tokyo Dome. It was like a culmination of all his Tokyo Dome matches against Gabe Kidd here, and then Gabe Kidd putting on one of the best babyface performances, and just the double turn. It's like it's New Japan's version of Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, which I still think is the greatest WWE match of all time. So that was New Japan's version of it.
It's so funny you say that, because if you had said, I think most people would have been in the camp of 8 months to 16 months ago, it almost would have been impossible to imagine Gabe Kidd as a face. You might even not have to go that far back. But that performance by Gabe Kidd on the other half of things, I thought was so freaking brilliant, because he almost has an Eddie Kingston-like quality where it's just the adjustments in thinking and the way that they translate to the ring and the story that he's telling that make him heel or face, which is kind of New Japan in general. Like, you're not getting these overwhelming character things that you're a different person now or anything like that. But it was such an organic face turn for him. And he was such a nasty heel, and he still talks so much shit that, like, to think of him as the baby face of the future is pretty wild. And I think, unfortunately, like, I don't think the match with Zach was Zach's best performance either. But I think we learned that Shota is further away from being ready than we thought as far as the next man up discussion. I think Shota also needs to be a heel. I don't think babyface Shota works at all. So that's a big part of this as well. But, like, when we're talking about next man up stuff, it would be unrealistic for us to not acknowledge that, like, they weren't just ill prepared for Okada and Will leaving. They're so far behind that entire Wrestle Kingdom cycle later. We still don't really have answers to that, except for Zach right now. Shota doesn't feel like the guy. I think Tsuji showed a lot of people this weekend, but I feel like Kenny and Gabe, it was a star-making performance. Really happy for both of those guys. Gabe wrestled like 150 matches or something freaking insane last year.
Yeah.
Really, really impressive. Putting in a lot of hard work. Truly embodying fighting spirit in a lot of really beautiful ways, I think. So
I think New Japan did a brilliant job of just saying, hey, the two guys that impressed us the most that were young were Tsuji and Gabe, so we're putting them against each other at New Beginning. I was like, that was a great move.
Great idea.
Like, capitalize now, give them a preview of what could potentially become a Tokyo Dome main event down the line. The other guy that kind of like stood out from that pack with these two is David Finlay. Like David Finlay and Gabe Kidd, they gotta re-sign these guys. Like you gotta get pen to paper, because David Finlay, he was the star of Wrestle Kingdom for me. Like Wrestle Kingdom peaked with his performance.
Blown away by him this weekend, and I was not on the Dave Finlay hate train as much as some people were, but I also wasn't like, no, I love this guy. What he did with Brody King was insane to me. Like, I knew he had a power game, but I was like, sir, I'm sorry, I did not put enough respect on it, because he lifted him up for a power bomb like it was nothing to end that match. He really broke out, and you're right, FightfulSelect.com did report that Gabe Kidd, his contract was up, so the retention thing being an issue, Zach clearly wants to stay. They're very lucky about that, because every other company in the world wants him. I think there'd be significant interest in Gabe Kidd from the AEW side. I think he might be a little much for the WWE side. And I don't think he's willing to probably scale back, but they're probably interested. They'd be silly not to be. But if these people want to stay, I know just things that people don't think about. This came up with the Chris Charlton suspension too. Like, Japanese culture views business partnerships very differently than American culture. And they're much more protective of it there. I remember my dad saying when he worked for IBM, and that any deals that were done in Japan, like you went out 3 times just to get to know each other first before you even talked business. Like it's just a very different thing there. The other thing that people aren't really taking into account with Japan is just economically, it's really tough there right now. So they just can't offer some of the contracts that the AEWs and WWEs of the world are. So what they have to do is be able to give you leniency on dates and things like that, and probably booking promises and those things. But like, it's really a love letter, in my opinion, when people choose to stay, because they're in all likelihood not doing it for financial reasons. But these crossover shows tend to be very successful when there's thought put into them. I would say Forbidden Door 1 and Wrestle Dynasty 1 have both been home runs. Forbidden Door 2 was also great. Forbidden Door 3 got a little weird. So I think because it just, I feel like they tried to do way too much on Forbidden Door 3.
It was a little much. I think that show ended past midnight. Swerve and Osprey was fantastic.
It was amazing. Zack and Orange was great too.
That was great too.
Mercedes and Steph. There was some really good stuff on there, but it was like 14 matches. So
yeah, it was too much. When we literally have a Kyle Fletcher versus Serpentico match. Don't ask me why I remember that. Don't ask me why. I think I have PTSD because when you brought it up and you said 14 matches, and I was like
Kyle Fletcher and Serpentico.
Kyle Fletcher and Serpentico.
Yep.
5 matches on the pre-show.
It was also, this was something lost in the conversations about AEW, and we're gonna pivot into ROH. So get those super chats in. Something lost in the AEW conversations of the booking roller coaster we've been on this year is I think people forget that like this is the first year we've had 10 pay-per-views, like full on. We had like 6 or 7, I think, last year. We had the big 4 preceding that. So like the rhythm of what that does really makes a lot of wonkiness in your TV, because you have like these TV blow-offs that you're supposed to be balancing with 10 pay-per-views a year now. And then you also have collaborative pay-per-views multiple times a year now. And then just general crossover, right? You have Wrestle Dream, you have Forbidden Door, you have this now. So it's like it's going to take them time to find a rhythm with this kind of stuff. So I think what we're seeing now is, in the past, you and I were just talking about it before we went on air, the past month or so, is this evening out of that. We're starting to see more consequential things happening on TV. The C2 always helps that get back. But like we had the men's casino gauntlet, and there's movement in the women's division again, and big debuts on television again, and returns on television again. So you're starting to see that find its rhythm again. And I think you might have lighter cards. I think you want to do 12 matches, do that for the big 4, and then give us 7 to 8 on the in-between ones. And that's beautiful. That's good. So, but let's get into some ROH. We were talking about Athena, and then we went wild talking about New Japan and the crossover there. Excellent job at like 4 a.m. I can't say enough about you and Lyric especially, and Rob.
Yes.
Her stepping in kind of later notice to pull the hours that you guys did was really wonderful of you guys. And I was surprised and excited by how many people were enthusiastic in the chats from what I saw. It was great to see. But Taylor Cannon saying, hey, Kate, hey, SP3, hope you had a great day. You know, I did. Too. I did have a great day because I actually got to do a bunch of errands. And I love errands because they're productive. The only bad thing in my day was Sean ruined my joke. I had to ask him a question.
Damn.
I had to ask him a question. I said, Sean, I have a question for you, and I also want to know if you want to hear my joke. And I asked him my question. It was about setting up post shows. It's not that big of a deal. But then I said my joke, which was, how do you find Will Smith in the snow? You look for the Fresh Prince. But he knew the answer, and he ruined everything.
Oh, he ruined it.
Lord Kev saying, Heart, you guys, we love you too, Lord Kev. Lord Kev is always so wonderful and supportive of us. You rule. Thank you for all the support all the time, coming in hot with the love. We appreciate that. Ellen Jeanette saying, as someone who had their entire colon removed 20 plus years ago, I was so happy to see Kenny Omega recover and wrestle on the same level. Love you, Fightful. Well, darn it, we love you too. We're glad that you're happy and healthy and here with us. I was It was unreal to me that in 13 months, Kenny Omega's first match was like how crisp his offense looked, how explosive his offense looked, and how, just riding a bike again. His promo yesterday where he was like, well, I'm not going to be able to do the same stuff that I always can. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you kind of can because we just saw you do most of it a couple days ago. So Matthew Hook saying, I want AEW to use excursions for more talent. I could not agree more with that. Every time that's happened, we've seen people come back better for it. Tay Melo returned to wrestling in Japan. That was very, very nice to see as well over the weekend. But Anna Jay looked better for it. Jungle Boy looked better for it. So I'm all for that, especially talent that's just either kind of waffling and cooled off or benched right now. But
yeah,
I mean, Norma's saying congrats to Jaden Daniels for setting the rookie QB completion percentage record at 69%. Nice. If you don't mind, let's crank. Harley getting reps and Trish getting wins works for me. Feel the wrath. We are going to talk all about Harley Cameron, but let's dig into this episode. My God, Harley Cameron, what a gem.
Feel the wrath of Harley Cameron.
You know, I was talking about this with my Mark Order co-host yesterday. We saw what she could do on QTV and that she was the standout in that. I saw her on the Jericho cruise and you could immediately get a sense that this was somewhere in her. Like you knew it. But combining that with Wrestling World is a weird thing to be able to accomplish. Jericho Cruise was about this time last year. About this time last year. And she's already like just blossoming. Rep over rep, time over time that she's on my screen. But we're here for the hot girl graps here at Fightful. I will say that.
Girl graps. Yeah.
Love that for us.
The segment that I was like, okay, she's got something is a segment that was probably her most controversial. It was the rap battle with the Acclaim. I felt like she handled that. She handled that a lot better than anyone who just got into the wrestling business should have been able to handle that. She handled it.
You're not wrong. I thought that was also very funny that it led to like the crush on Bowen's angle. That was like hilarious. Well, let's swing into ROH. Guys, get in those super chats if there's anything you want to talk about. What a blessed 24 hours to get to Heavy and Riccaboni on commentary twice.
Oh my God.
Upgrade on Dynamite.
We were talking about all the things that affected Ring of Honor that happened before this show. But can we talk about Ian Riccaboni being one of the MVPs of Dynamite last night? Like,
my God.
How does Tony Khan listen to that show and keep this guy on the bench? Like, you got an all-star. You got an all-star here to keep him on Dynamite.
From my understanding, it is not a lack of them wanting more Ian Riccaboni on their main programming. It's not they're not throwing money enough at him. He loves his family and he loves Allentown from what I understand. And he wants to be able to be home and ROH lets him do that. I would be shocked if they don't try to come to some sort of middle agreement of more dates and maybe not a full-time schedule because love Tony Schiavone. I think he excels tremendously still at in-ring interviews and stuff like that. I don't think he's been the best on the desk as of late. I think he's probably spread thin because he works a lot of Dynamite and a lot of Collision. But there's a lot of kind of filibustering with him. And Ian is unreal, man. Like, unreal. And the kick in the pants that it gave Dynamite yesterday was unbelievable.
I would go as far as to say that Excalibur hasn't been the best as of late either. And he was kind of outclassed by Ian. Like, Ian did the things that Excalibur used to do. Like, I feels like Excalibur, he doesn't have the same, like, passion as in like Excalibur used to be the wrestling fan behind the desk, and Ian captured that last night. He was the enthusiastic fan watching it, being the voice for us. He got me hyped off of a Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia face off during that Casino Gauntlet. He was tying all the stories together,
amazing,
all the history. I was like, at one point when he was talking during the Garcia and Wheelers, I'm just yelling at my TV to the point my missus nurses came out the room. It was like, what are you yelling at? I'm like, Ian, talk that talk. Ian, talk that talk. She was like, you're not even responding to the wrestling. I was like, no, the commentary.
No, it's I say time and time again, FTR Bullet Club Gold, Nigel and Ian, that went like when it was like 58 minutes ish or whatever, is one of my favorite modern calls in wrestling at all. Go back and watch that match if you can, just because it's a brilliant match, but pay super close attention to the rhythm of those two. Because Nigel is so different than what Ian does, and they complement each other so well, and they're both so excited to be watching wrestling of what's in front of them. To your point, like Ian had all this energy. I feel like Excalibur, I think I didn't realize how connected he and Taz were. Because it feels like ever since Taz's departure is when Excalibur's been thrown off. That might also have to do with the rotating desk that's constantly happening. Like you can't get in a rhythm because they've had so many changes there. But man, I felt like Ian was such a big piece of what helped Dynamite be so excellent last night. I thought it was one of their best shows in months. And Ian, just like you said, weaving in and out, pulling people's history together, pulling perspectives that you weren't necessarily thinking about. Like, he's a play-by-play guy primarily, but he's so great at that. You got to wonder what's going through someone's head. Whereas often that's the wrestler being like, I know when I was wrestling in that situation, blah, blah, blah. And he doesn't overreach with it. He doesn't like act like he was a wrestler or anything, but he's like, you got to assume he's feeling the emotions of whatever. Like, what a complete broadcaster we have in Ian Riccaboni. And I thought him and Caprice were great tonight on this taped episode.
Especially the STP and Gates of Agony. That was
a
tremendous job by both. Yeah.
Unbelievably so. And even little things like when they were talking about Jericho coming out, Ian was like, he's nicer this time around. I forgot he broke Ian's glasses the first time around. And Caprice was like, you were keeping your lunch money in your socks. Like you were. It was so good. It was so good. But I've loved Ian for a long time. He was such a big part of what helped me stay invested in ROH before it shut down during that pandemic era when they were on their 1 hour feast. And there was no crowd. So everything that commentary was doing and saying was so magnified. I really fell in love with what he does on the mic. But SP3, I knew we were in for a good night because what we started with was Trish Adora getting a freaking win. Not only getting a wrestling match, but getting a win over Harley Cameron in a definitive one here. Winning with the Lariat Hubman, which we love, or the Lariat Tubman, sorry, my notes. But I absolutely adore Trish Adora getting a win. I adore getting to see her wrestle. Harley's fantastic. She loses nothing and losing this. She's got a title shot this weekend. Everything's fine. Normally I would nitpick about like, if she has a title shot, she shouldn't be winning here, but I've been begging for them to make Shane Taylor Promotions feel like something that's important with some wins. And at the end of the day, Harley Cameron still kind of in her true rookie year here, still on the up and coming. Trish Adora, one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. That's why I'm apoplectic every freaking week on this show, asking for Trish Adora matches and asking for her to be getting wins. So this was a great way to start things off. And this is also a bit of a refresh for the ROH women's division. These are two wrestlers that Harley's kind of bobbing and weaving in and out, and Trish doesn't get a lot of reps. So I just like that it was a couple of talent that we don't see super, super consistently as well to kick us off. But what did you think of Trish Adora finally winning on screen?
It's exactly what we needed. This is exactly the start to the show that we needed here. It redeemed a match that we complained about, what was it, 3-4 months ago during the Arlington tapings when Trish Adora inconspicuously lost to rookie Harley Cameron when it was like Harley's first win that we had ever both seen her win a match. So like, yeah, we were like, nah, Trish Adora deserves better. So we love to see Trish Adora getting better. And then Harley Cameron, is Harley Cameron. She's great. She's fantastic. She's not getting a title shot, actually, because Mariah said
oh, that's right.
She doesn't deserve one. She doesn't deserve one. It's just going to be hot girl graps on Saturday on Collision. So I was all right with her taking the loss here, even though I like this because I did not know who was going to win, because I was like, yes, Harley's got the match with Mariah. You're pushing Trish because she's with STP, but I like the fact that they gave Trish the win.
Thank you for reminding me that we don't actually have a title shot on Saturday. That actually makes it kind of even better in some ways. We do just have our wonderful hot girl graps where Mariah May is certain to feel the wrath of Harley Cameron. If you haven't seen her playing her little song about what a cunning woman Mariah May is and how she can be such a horrible person, be sure to check that out on social media. She is just hysterical. It's so funny because she does this little like song about Mariah and she has these funny lines in it, like the ones I mentioned, but when she just breaks into conversation is like, okay, I'm done with the song, basically. Like everything this woman does is just gold. We're moving along. There's about 3,000 of you watching right now, so thank you so much for tuning in. This is why I went light at the beginning of the show as far as giving you a hard sell, because we're going to remind you to leave a thumbs up. We're going to ask you to get into your super chats, and we are going to ask you to subscribe to Fightful Select if you haven't already. Best $6 in the biz coming up. 6. We want your 6, baby. That's what we're out here saying. So please do. There's a lot of great things you get outside of all of the scoops that you could possibly ever want delivered to you by Sean and Corey Brennan. But we have our Fightful Select Discord. I always put over Sean's Ask SRS channel and the Backstage Report show because he will get you answers. Like if you have a question about something, he will get you answers. Even if the answer is, I can't get you an answer, he will ask. But a lot of times there'll be people with kind of peripheral questions and he's able to deliver some stuff for you guys. So stay tuned for that. You also get me and Alex Pulowski doing pay-per-view and PLE post shows behind the paywall. I'll say that 10 times fast. Alternative to what's on the main channel, except for NXT, which we always do on the main. Which we got to do for New Year's Evil, by the way, which was a TV special, but actually pretty damn good, other than The Rock rambling. But
hey, he was drunk. I'm sorry.
He was right?
It was so good.
We were howling because in the segment earlier, I was so happy for Ethan Page because I love that guy for so many reasons on so many levels. I just love Ethan Page.
And I tweeted out, I was like, this is the use of The Rock that we really need. Why does he fit better on this show than the Raw episode? And then he went out there drunk and cut that promo.
I was dying. Because he said, I don't really know what I'm going to say. And Ava goes, well, just say what comes to your heart later. And I was like, man, this man really didn't think about it for the past hour and a half. Like he took his daughter's advice to heart and it backfired. So
he said the F word 4 times. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
CW owns for posting the uncensored version on YouTube.
Yeah, they really do. They really do. And he counted like how many times, like how much time he had left. He was just like, we got 2.5 minutes left, but we're going on it. Oh no, we can't because we're not on a streaming set. Okay. Like he was.
He said nothing. All he did was try to come at the trolls on the internet who are mad at him for being mean to Cody and then friendly to Cody. Dwayne, that's not why we're upset.
No, I mean, he did beat him to death with a belt. Like, we were kind of like, why are you just hugging him? But it was also very funny. It was like, why are you clarifying on this show on NXT?
Exactly, not that. You had 5 million people on Netflix.
It was
5 million people watched that.
Funny. And also, I was like, he sounds like both are like our outgoing and incoming president. He sounds just like nonsensical, but with swear words. And he also said, like, what he was going for was, like, these are the stars of tomorrow and the stars of the future. And, like, there's a lot of great talent that you don't have discovered. But what he said is there are no superstars on the show. And I was like, Dwayne.
And he knew nobody. He didn't name not a one. Usually when we get someone coming here,
Punk was like Lexus King, Ethan Page, Eddie Thorpe, or whatever. I cannot believe he didn't rock bottom Eddie Thorpe, like, who's been taunting his daughter. I just kept waiting for something to happen, but it did not.
And then he also took Oba's moment. Oba could have made event, the show could have closed it.
Oh my God. What was so funny, I was howling because you had the closing shot and then The Rock had to come out after because it was Jewel her belt, Oba Femi with his belt, confetti going off, and I was like, oh, that's the closing shot. And then I was like, no, it's not. We still have The Rock coming out here to say nothing. I was in stitches. But back to our commentary discussion. Alan Jeanette saying super impressed with Daddy Magic on commentary. I will say he's like hit or miss for me. I loved him on Rampage. I like him on Collision a lot. I think sometimes with three-man desks and the relationship with Danny Garcia, sometimes it gets a little muddy for me. But when he's like hitting his spots, he's hitting his spots. Like when he is good, he is great. So I'm with you on there.
He did good last night because
he did.
He worked well with Ian. So
who doesn't, man?
Yeah.
Like I find me someone who doesn't have chemistry with Ian Riccaboni, and I'll show you someone who's the problem. Like it's nuts. He has chemistry with Nigel. He has chemistry with Excalibur. He has chemistry with Caprice. He has chemistry with Veda. Him and Veda are a great duo when they're together. Like, man, what an addition. It's. I understand the reasons why, but it is kind of criminal that he's not like on weekly television. Because he's just so damn good. But I'll tell you what else is damn good. Blake Christian getting heat, brother. I feel like coming out of these Hammerstein shows, people saw like what Blake Christian is capable of as a heel in a different light. He's facing Serpentico tonight, gets the win with a great Meteora, but he had the crowd going nuts. Like he taunted the 450 and then was like, psych, I'm just hopping down from the rope. Like, just really he was a really likable face. So his translation to heel and the way that he's acclimated his in-ring is really, really impressive. And I hope that he was on this taping as a takeaway from what happened at Hammerstein, because he is signed, I believe, under the AEW umbrella and not used all that frequently. And he's a heat magnet, SB3. And man, poor Serpentico, who, by the way, Fightful did publish an article earlier saying that Serpentico said that he's not going to start an OnlyFans because he has a certain image to uphold. Which I feel like, get your bag, Serpentico, but I wonder if John Cruz beats him to it. But I had a lot of fun with this match. Serpentico is very easy to sympathize for, but Blake Christian been very, very impressive as a heel and in these ROH appearances of late.
He draws as much heat as anyone on the ROH brand, it seems. And he just knows how to do it. He taunts the crowd. He's stomping on Serpentico's head on the barricade and stuff like that. He's got the stupid little pose that he does, and he's called Vanilla Baby. Like, all of this equals your next like kind of like big heel on ROH. I think they need to continue what they're doing, hopefully booking him more often than they have in the past, because he's been signed with the ROH brand since 2022. Since this whole thing started, he's pretty much been signed with the ROH brand. So I think that they need to kind of focus in on him, build him up in the TV title scene, and eventually we could do Commander and Blake Christian probably at like in Las Vegas at Supercard of Honor.
Oh, I love that idea. Especially with the ways that Commander's improved. I feel like lean into a lot of what Blake Christian's strengths are of having this high flying ability, but also having like this super solid foundation below him and being able to really wrestle outside of the high spots. Like, and I feel like Commander has really reined in and made logic of a lot of what his aerial stuff has been. So I think that could be very, very, very fun. Guys, leave a thumbs up on this video. Please send in your super chats if there's anything you want to talk about. I'm sure Boulder beating Griff Garrison is what you guys want to chat about. But we do have the return of Cole Carter here. Griff Garrison coming out with Cole Carter, which is nice to see. Boulder, also, I guess what they're saying is that both of these guys are one half of a tag team. But Boulder winning with the Boulder Dash. I don't know what happened here. I don't know if Griff Garrison just has hesitation in him because he hasn't had a rep in a while, or if he's kind of checked out or whatever. But I just felt like there was no snap in this from Griff Garrison today. And it's a bummer because Cole Carter's back. Like, they should be an energized duo now. I don't know if maybe I'm missing a storytelling element of, I don't want to do this alone. I'm meant to be doing this with Cole Carter or something, but I just felt like something was missing from Griff Garrison today, and I feel like something should have been coming back to Griff Garrison today with Cole Carter. Boulder looks great. You know, I don't understand the intent of this match because both of them seem to be parts of a tag team.
Yeah, felt like Jack Jameson and I forget Beefcake Boulder. Is it? No, he's Beefcake Boulder. Bronson, yes. Bronson, I think they missed their flight or something. It was weird because usually even like Iron Savages, they come down the heel tunnel. Boulder came down the babyface tunnel. So that was the first thing that caught my attention. And then I pulled the curtain back. I messaged Kate after this match. I've been shaking my head since the entrances because this is what we call, and you know, Kate has told it many times, she's a newer wrestling fan, but this is a long time term that they call boo-boo face.
I'm hip to that one. I know
you are because this guy came out with the biggest boo-boo face I have seen in quite some time. When it wasn't even like his walk down to the ring that I got at Kate. It was when I don't know if you noticed it, when he went to the second rope in the corner and he just did like this.
Yeah.
And then just stood there. He stood there for like a minute. Like Boulder was like, is he gonna come down? Why is his music still going? Everything about before the bell rings, it was weird. I don't know what happened here. I think Bear Boulder, he's cool. He worked this matchup. He worked the matchup to the best of his ability, but it just felt like Griff Garrison was told he's losing this one and he checked out.
It was really weird, and I don't know if maybe there's supposed to be a storytelling element to that. So if we're supposed to be thrown off by that, good on him, because I am. It was very odd. It was very odd. But it happened, and we covered it. So we're going to talk about Billie Starkz versus Brittany Jade. Billie Starkz getting the win here with the Swan Dive. This was a really fun match, and it was special, too, because this is one of Caprice Coleman's students, and there's always something fun when on commentary, like Booker T's commentary is not for me, but when he's announcing Roxanne's matches, there's something special there, and it comes across so authentically, and you kind of got that with Caprice today too. There was just like a little bit of extra love in there. She also looked great. Like she looked like she knew what she was doing in there. She looked secure in the wrestler that she is, which is great to see. I really liked the chemistry that she had with Billie for this, but knew Billie was going to win, but not mad about it. This was a good showing for Brittany Jade. I liked what I saw out of her, but Billie continuing to win. Another outstanding job by commentary saying, like, Billie is not only surprisingly summoned to stay in Minion University, but Ian kind of just connecting the dots today of basically against her will. Like, it feels like she doesn't want to be doing this. And I appreciated that he kind of just said out loud what they'd been hinting at, right? This whole time, like, and Billie's facial expressions this whole time have been like, what? I thought I was done with this finally. So we thought you were done with it too, girl. We thought you were winning. So, but I liked what we got here. It's always fun to me when commentators can speak so specifically to their students. And I love that he talked about her work ethic of being one of the first ones in, last ones out kind of students. I thought that was very sweet to give a shout out to, but no problem with this. Keep Billie on TV winning matches, especially they brought it up multiple times too, Athena being in Japan, right? Like she's not here. So Billie getting to spread her wings a little bit free of the micromanaging of our minion overlord as she perceives it. I think it's proper guidance in a crazy world. But what did you think of this match tonight?
This was fine. This was kind of a one-sided affair, but still a little bit of a showcase for Brittany Jade. I like Caprice on commentary and talking about his student. You could tell he cared and he was trying to kind of give us a connection to her as the viewer watching at home. And I like how they used this matchup to kind of talk about Athena being over in Japan. Got the matchup with Tekla coming up on Monday, and then she might have in line for a matchup up with Momo Watanabe. And to go back to Wrestle Dynasty, I think that's why I was most all right with the finish of the matchup, because I really wanted Athena to win the International Women's Cup, so she had her way to get called up to the AEW roster. But I think we all kind of had the illusion kind of crash for us at Final Battle when she kept the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship.
Sure freaking did.
So I think that it does, though, the finish, how they played it out, it does open up more opportunities for her as far as working with Tekla, as far as potentially working with Momo Watanabe in a one-on-one matchup, maybe at Supercard of Honor even. So that will get her in, but I mean, there has to be an end in sight. Like this is a song that never ends, and it goes on and on, my friends. Like, that's how Athena's title reign is starting to go, and I don't want it to feel like that.
No, it deserves better than to be exhausted. I will say her defending in Japan is a really great way to keep it fresh. Like, you can have some people get some wins and win contendership for a match against Athena while she's absent. And in her absence, she's still doing productive things for the title. She gets to wrestle in Japan, which is really special. So, and she gets to wrestle some of the best. I will say, if you have not seen Momo in person, you referenced that match with Mercedes. She's great watching her on TV. There are some wrestlers when you see them live. Roman certainly has it. There's some wrestlers when you see them live that the energy is just different and special. Momo's one of those. You can see that she's kind of an ass kicker on TV. When you see her live, you get like, there's a whole different perception of the type of edge that she has. So if you get the chance to see her live, which I hope you do if you're a wrestling fan, take advantage. Those New Japan Strong cards, because I don't want to say a stagnant promotion. This is the promotion now, basically, is New Japan Strong. It is a bunch of cards with incredible wrestling that advance some stories and then just also have great matches on them. They're very fun to see, and they're very affordable. And if you want to see, if you liked Wrestle Dynasty, if you like Forbidden Door, you could see a New Japan Strong, and you're going to see some of the same type of stuff. It's crazy. Leo Rush versus Gabe Kidd. Like, yes, please, all day.
And check it out on tomorrow. Well, no, Saturday. Battle in the Valley, because you got Gabe Kidd versus Tomohiro Ishii. You got Konosuke Takeshita versus Kushida. There's going to be El Desperado versus Taiji Ishimori. So yeah, it's
Zach and Cesaro 3.
Yes, that's going to be great. That's going to be great. That card is stacked on Saturday. So yeah, definitely. I would say it's a good time to have an NJPW World account, because then you got New Beginning in a couple of weeks as well.
Yes, you do. And some fun stuff got set up at New Year's Dash. I still got to go watch that show in completion, but I'll probably do a watch along for Battle in the Valley. If you want to join it, by the way, feel free. But those have been fun, because they've been like, I did a couple of them, and they've just been like a giant slumber party, and they've been with people who are familiar with the New Japan product, but not super familiar. So they're just up for the ride. And it's always really fun, because the in-ring is so strong on those. But tell you what else is strong. Queen Aminata's headbutt game, because damn, we got her versus Rachael Ellering. A lot of women's matches this week, which is always lovely to see. Primarily women's matches this week, actually, as I'm looking at the rest of my rundown here. But Queen Aminata, love what she has going on with her hair. I'm thinking it's probably a wig, but this kind of blonde shade looks really pretty on her. But she has a match with Rachael Ellering. This was fun too, because I assumed Queen Aminata was winning. But to your point of the opener, I felt like this one could kind of go either way. Caprice also pushed that home on commentary. Like, man, like either of these ladies could win based off of their in-ring skill and kind of their positioning in the cards. Aminata is not because she's not highly profiled, but just because she's been between brands and she doesn't really have like a story to sink her teeth into right now. I had a blast with this. And as I was watching this, I was like, oh, Mercedes versus Queen Aminata like a year from now is going to be a sight to see. I mean, a sight to see with Queen Aminata's presentation, the way that she's progressing, her moveset, and what Mercedes does selling for wrestlers like Queen Aminata specifically. Oh, that's going to be fun. That's going to be really, really fun someday. But I'm I liked what we got out of this. I would like for Rachael Ellering to get into a story, and I would like Queen Aminata to be on a brand, because she should be, whatever brand she's on, she should be highly profiled on that brand. Getting like 50-50 on AEW doesn't do much for her. Beating Red Velvet for that title would do a lot for her, in other words. So like,
and they have the history.
They have the history, exactly. They had the alliance that kind of fell apart without explanation. But I would like to see her on a consistent track, whatever that track might look like.
Yeah, this was a decent kind of competitive matchup. Rachael Ellering looked good in there. Queen Aminata, of course, looking good, getting the win there. But I 100% agree with you. Keep Aminata here. Like, this is the only place that she's good. Let's be real here. We're gonna have honest conversations about the Ring of Honor and AEW, hierarchy. We all know here Queen Aminata is great and probably should have a role on AEW television and probably should be picking up wins on AEW television. But outside of a 3-week storyline with Serena Deeb, they haven't done much with her on AEW television. At least here, she had a Ring of Honor Women's World Title match, which was one of the better matches for Ring of Honor last year. She's picked up significant wins. She's gone on winning streak. She made it to the finals of the Women's TV title tournament. She's got the history with Red Velvet. She's got history with Athena, got history with Billie Starkz. Just keep her here. Why are we playing games? Just because you need someone to lose to Hikaru Shida to set up Shida losing to someone else? No! Just keep her here, please.
I didn't know we were going to get a rant out of that, but I'm glad that we did. I thought this was just going to be a cute little thing, but no, we went into rant mode, and I respect it. I also love this. Ricardo saying Mercedes boo-boo face is legendary. Unreal boo-boo face from Mercedes. Amazing. Meme worthy boo-boo face.
I haven't seen it since she left WWE, to give her props. To be fair, she's only lost once.
Yeah, and the CEO character doesn't really warrant it. I feel like as much. Like, she's too cocky, and when something goes wrong for her, she's more bitchy than pouty, which I like. Like, she's usually looking for someone to blame. But guys, keep those super chats coming in. Let me know if there's anything you want to talk about. We talked a little bit about Wrestle Dynasty and Wrestle Kingdom earlier in the show, but right here we have our throwback match. I like this placement in the episode for this. This coming kind of more in the middle instead of like you're giving us main event blue balls. I thought was actually a lot better. But it's Sumi Sakai versus Hazuki. Very nice to see the late Hana Kimura on here. Excuse me. Kind of peripherally, just nice to see her presence there. And Sumi Sakai, such an important part of women's wrestling history. Someone that Cheeseburger has spoken about so much as being such a key figure in, I think, in his life and career, and just in wrestling in general, and what she's meant to Ring of Honor. So nice to see that. But this was a fun throwback match to have, especially on such a women's wrestling heavy episode. And I didn't realize this was from 2018. This was not as long ago as I thought it was. Colt Cabana also very good on commentary with this. I had a lot of fun.
Hey, we can get Ian to go on Dynamite, and then Colt can fill in with Capri. I'm just a hint. I'm just putting stuff out here. I'm just putting it down, Tony. Just making up ideas.
Manifest.
Yeah, this was one of the best choices for a throwback matchup, because it worked in two ways. Because you're previewing the fact that the women's championship is about to be defended against a Stardom star, like we saw here with Sumi Sakai and Hazuki. It comes just a month after Hazuki's kind of breakout matchup with another person that's under contract to Tony Khan, Mercedes Moné. And then thirdly, tomorrow is Saturday. I keep thinking it's Friday, but Saturday is Sumi Sakai's retirement match, as she's going to be teaming up with Evil and Sho to face Hiromu Takahashi, Mayu Iwatani, and Yuka Sakazaki, which is like the craziest match when you look at it on paper.
That's an insane match. What a career, and what a bright spot in an era where, at least I can only speak for really American television, like women's wrestling was not thriving here at all. Like, and especially for like work rate stuff. And you go back and you see a match like this, really incredible, but quite a career, quite an influential figure in wrestling. And I agree with you. This throwback match also kind of had like if you're an ROH person, you know this match, but like it's not one, like it's not Nigel Danielson, right? Like we don't talk about it in that way. So it was also just kind of fun because I was like, I haven't seen this a million times, and I haven't seen it in highlight packages a million times, and it's not necessarily talent that gets talked about as much as they should. So there was also like kind of this like hidden gem aspect to it, and that just held my attention more than some of the other ones, just because I've watched so many of those other matches so many times. So
and I think this was from Ring of Honor TV back in 2018. So this probably was my first time watching it. This probably was my first time because I lived in New York. I did not get Ring of Honor TV in 2018.
I'm into the Hammerstein Ballroom. I'm SP3. I've seen every match. I lived at Hammerstein. I basically knew the security guard. I was best friends with him because I went all the time.
He was cool. He was cool.
Guys, get into your super chats. Leave a thumbs up on this video. Over 3,500 of you watching across platforms right now. Thank you so much for the support. We do have the Fightful Awards coming up. We will give you the song and dance real quick one more time. That we have a couple of sponsorship slots left. We had one that we released earlier, so we do have a couple of categories available still. Hit us up if you're interested. Hit me up specifically because I get a commission, kate@fightful.com. But it is genuinely a really good deal. It's $100. We've had a lot of creators be like, we've got 4 people on this channel. We could throw $25 away or whatever. And you do get exposure to over 500,000 followers on Twitter between Sean's accounts and ours. You get specific call outs for your brand as well as the category that you're in. And you get a pretty healthy on-air ad read as well. 30 to 90 seconds is where we're keeping them. Done by Sean. You can clip it however you need to for your own promotional purposes and inclusions. And of course, all of our promotional aspects going out for those. So feel free to email me. We've had a lot of wonderful support from creators, which means so much because we know that this game is not always the most profitable one in the whole wide world. It's a lot. So the fact that you bothered to spend your dollars with us means a whole heck of a lot. But that will be towards the end of the month. I know Sean has some stuff to take care of, including acceptance speeches across multiple promotions, including Stardom. So that's cool to see. I don't think we've had Stardom in the mix on some of our stuff before. So good stuff there. Guys, we've been singing the praises of commentary all night, but no better were they than on this MXM Collection versus the Dawsons. And Riccaboni has an evolving relationship with MXM, and I love to see it. He didn't really like them, but he felt so bad that they had this "if Johnny loses, we'll be really sad" sign. Caprice not really falling for the tricks. He's not as interested in touching tips. He's not as interested, but we do have them opening this up saying Ian was congratulating someone. Probably, I think it was Sumi Sakai on her retirement match, and then said, "And congratulations to these guys." Caprice goes, "For what?" And they enter, and Ian goes, "For winning the gene pool lottery." And I almost fell out of my chair.
Perfect timing on that joke.
Freaking incredible. MXM winning with the centerfold here. This was fun. The Dawsons are a staple in the North Carolina area, from what I understand. Big boys. The continued ability for Mason Madden to be so punishing and so smooth in the ring always blows my mind. Mansoor looking really good in these more recent matches too. Love seeing this. I hope that they are on a trajectory that is positive in the tag division. I don't know if them versus the Sons of Texas is the way that I would go. I would like to see MXM challenge for the titles, maybe when they're in someone else's hands. But I trust MXM to make ridiculous entendres out of whatever Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara are going to throw their way because they're great at it. But this was fun. This just seems like we're trying to build up that tag division. And I kind of like that there's multiple possibilities, it feels right now in that tag division. Like, I was hoping the Righteous were going to win, but it seems like we see certain teams starting to pull away from the pack, but it's not like they're next in line for the tag titles. Like, it could go a few ways. But what did you think of this?
I enjoyed this matchup, but I thought about weird things with the opening when Mason Madden puts up his tip for the Dawsons to touch his tip, and they refuse to touch his tip, and my brain just started thinking, like, why don't they want to touch tips with them? Is it because they're from the South and he's black, or is it because they're from the South and he comes off a little bit, playing for the other team? I don't know. That's where my brain was going.
This particular incident of not touching tips is socio-political.
It triggered me. It triggered like my social political brain. I don't know why.
It feels like the code of honor. Touching tips is like a code of honor. Like, they didn't touch tips. That's basically like not shaking hands. But in this scenario, you're like, they're kind of in the deep South. Might be one or a few reasons. We don't know. We are not casting dispersions on the Dawsons.
No. I said I'm giving you my inner monologue, ladies and gentlemen. I have nothing against the Dawsons. I'm a huge fan of them. Way back in the day, all the way back in the old days of 2019. NWA Power. I remember the Dawsons very well. They were one of the tag teams I enjoyed back then. I was very impressed with MXM hitting the centerfold on them.
Very
on
impressive.
The big boy.
Yeah,
big boy. I was very impressive by them. So I enjoyed this one. I'm just giving you my inner monologue, and I apologize for
hysterical. No. Do not apologize. That was so funny. I also appreciated the ref posing with them over the shoulder at the end there.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God. He perfect timing, man. Perfect timing.
In stitches. Feel free to touch tips in the chat. That we encourage it. We encourage it around these parts. We touch tips all the time over here. We're big fans of it. They're so much fun, man. It is so funny because they're like, when they first kind of came over to AEW at ROH, I obviously love those guys, but so many people had said to me, like, they're such a breath of fresh air. They're such a breath of fresh air was what I heard repeatedly. And they really are, because they get plopped into an episode like this, or they get put into like a heater of an AEW Dynamite episode. And it's so supported by the fact that the in-ring is there. Like, especially with Mason, and like Mansoor's looked really good of recent too. But like, I really do like the Outrunners, but I feel like there's a ceiling on what they do in-ring because of the gimmick. Meaning, like, wrestle to the style of being late 80s, early 90s wrestlers, which is like a lot of body slams. MXM, I feel like, is weaving this male model persona in and out of some really good in-ring and telling stories within it. And it's just the perfect merge to me. So it is for Kate type of stuff, but we move on to our Proving Ground match. Only QT Marshall can win these, but I did appreciate that commentary again said, we saw the ground get proven. Like, it feels more realistic now, but Jasmine Howe versus Red Velvet here. I love this new look from Red Velvet with the shorter hair and like, it matches the cockiness so well. Also loved commentary calling back to the fact that Red Velvet using the wrench is payback from Layla Hirsch using the wrench. I had completely forgotten about that. So glad that they tied that back into the story because Layla is going to have this rematch. But this was a decent match. Jasmine Howe seems like a powerhouse, and I liked the way Red Velvet worked with someone who is substantially bigger than her. Like, she knows how to use her size with someone that's kind of the opposite, which is an important thing to establish, but she just wins with the right jab here. Your thoughts on this match? I liked what I saw from Jasmine Howe too.
Yeah, I like Jasmine Howe in here. Her selling was good. Made Red Velvet kind of feel like her offense and her strikes were kind of like could put her away at any point. So it worked with the finish matchup as well. So I think that with Red Velvet, she's still trying to figure out the heel character. You can kind of see that there's times that she's able to play up to the crowd, kind of taunt the crowd and play up her character a bit. And then there's other times where she's doing that in place of the good wrestling that she was providing us as a babyface. I think that she has to find her Azumi like Timeless Tony Storm did last year, who helps her to find the character and the in-ring at the same time. Timeless Tony Storm, it took her like 3-4 months, so I know it's going to take Red Velvet some time.
Yeah, much different than that young rookie Tony Storm, who has the same name, who is just firing on all cylinders, really, in her first
There's no relation.
4 or 5 matches. No relation at all, no. I agree with you on that. I think... I also think she excels way more in matches where there's a full story. I don't know if that's because the production is more closely nuanced or whatever, but she looks better in something more substantive versus something that's like a one-off like this that doesn't have a lot behind it. So I think that's something that makes sense because you just have more to dig into. And I feel like she does better in those matches. But guys, we're coming down the home stretch over here. We got the TNA crew on the back end of this, the wonderful Cresta, who joined me on my own YouTube channel for a recasting of Wicked. We had so much fun putting your favorite wrestlers into the movie Wicked as a fun thing that we did. She was in full drag for that. You're going to want to check that out on my YouTube channel. But Joel will also be here as they review TNA for you. Rhino winding down his career, a lot going on, but
Should I watch Wicked? Sorry, I had an inner monologue. Should I watch Wicked?
If you're high.
Okay.
It's really long. It's really good. It's really good, but it's 2 hours and 40 minutes of people singing at your face. Not a lot happens in the first hour.
The play ain't that long. I've been to the play. I used to work in hotels. I used to get free tickets. I got a free ticket to Wicked. It was one of my favorite plays I've seen. The play is like 2 hours long. What?
It's only the first half, and it's 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Wait, what? There's 2 halves?
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's one coming out next November. This is the whole gimmick.
What is this, Lord of the Rings witches? Like, what are we doing?
When I tell you hour 1 is pretty inconsequential, and then the second hour, like the last hour and a half or whatever, is like great. I'm not kidding. Like, it's so a tale of two movies for me. Ariana's a huge cut up, and her vocal training is like out of this world on that. And Cynthia Erivo's great, but it takes a while to get into gear. I think the second one will be incredible because that's where the consequences for everyone's actions happen. But it's very good. It's just long as hell.
He made a Snyder's cut for Wicked. Oh my god.
The Irishman could never. The Irishman could never. Well, we've got QT Marshall here. Cutting a promo backstage saying that he's going to beat Commander next week. Just reminding us that he won his Proving Ground match. Reminding us that you never forget your first time going viral. This was short and sweet. This was QT doing his thing. Clean character, giving people good wins. Your thoughts on this?
You didn't mention the best part. Born in America, made in Mexico.
Made in Mexico, yeah.
Born in America, made in Mexico. QT Marshall, our next Ring of Honor World Television Champion next week. Can't wait. Can't wait. One of the best workers in the game right now, QT Marshall.
He's killing it, honestly. Like I'm not mad at what he's been doing.
Evil went to the QT Marshall school of having less but accomplishing more.
I don't hate it. Let's whoops. Go away, little chat. My bad. Get out of here. Get out of here.
I was pressing it for you and I pressed at the same time.
Oh no! Plasky and I do that all the time. All right. Well, moving on to what I think is match of the night. Shane Taylor Promotions defeating Gates of Agony. A lot of interference, them working as a unit here. I'm going to let you take away that chat because we keep pressing it at the same time. There we go. I really like what we got out of this match. This felt like the most a unit Shane Taylor Promotions has been. I felt like the interference was very sound. I love Trish Adora getting up in the mix. Sean Dean and Carly Bravo doing their thing really well. What always amazes me about Shane Taylor is his selling for someone of his size is pretty brilliant. Like, I feel like so many big guys either have to look cartoonish in the way that they're affected or they go borderline no sell. Shane Taylor found the sweet spot. I feel like that's something that Miro is quite good at too. But I just noticed that a lot in this match. Like he looked great here, but STP picking up the win finally. This is what we've been asking for, man. We've been wanting this. We get the O'Connor roll with the bridge from Lee at the end. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Your thoughts on what was the final match of the night?
Yes, very much enjoyed this one. I agree. It was the match of the night. Love the storytelling done by Caprice and Ian, talking about their background together, talking about Kaun. I love the Ian kind of putting it out there, like, why is Kaun not a part of STP? And then Caprice explaining that Kaun got the call to come to AEW ROH and didn't tell anybody in STP, and Shane Taylor saw it and it was like, oh, really? Oh, really now? So it gave this a little bit more meaning, gave this a little bit more of a grudge and a personal feel to everything, which I very much enjoyed. It put over Gates of Agony in the end with the rest of STP interfering to get them the win. But my only issue with this whole thing, I would have no issues with this matchup at all. Where the hell was the follow-up for Gates of Agony turning babyface at Final Battle? Because Lee J turned heel on them.
Yeah,
they were the heels in that whole feud, and then they got turned to baby faces. It happened 3 weeks ago now, and hasn't really been addressed on this show yet.
It does feel like that was a pretty pivotal moment on the pay-per-view that has not been paid off. So I agree with you on that entirely. We do have, we'll talk about briefly here, but basically we have Jericho coming out at the end. I do like that he says, why didn't you cheer for me in matches that he wasn't in? He was like, nobody was cheering for us in the match before this. Like, he wasn't in it. I feel like he's just finding this groove with this character now, and he's set up to probably go away for a little bit. But I had a lot of fun with this, but this is all to bring out the Express in the hometown. I like that they're doing this for live crowds. They need to do stuff like this for live crowds so that attendance stays up. Good stuff there. Any thoughts on our closing segment? This was just a hometown crowd pop.
Yeah, hometown crowd pop. Rock and Roll Respect got to do something besides being kidnapped by the Sticky Bandits. Oh, I mean, Death Riders.
That is how they feel, isn't it? That's part of the problem. Me, Normus, wondering where Beef is. I miss him. Where's our beefy Beef? He's your guy.
Where's Beef?
Where is Beef? Kaun, so damn smooth in the ring, by the way. I did want to mention that. But we are going to finally turn it over to Joel and Cresta. I will let them bring themselves on because I think my computer's bugging out a little bit. So I will let them add themselves. Nice that it's my computer and not my internet for once.
Hi, everybody. Also, shout outs to SP3. Go see Wicked. It is longer than the play. Yes. I mean, it's good, but also.
It's so long. I fear for my life. Like, what are we doing?
They added a whole bunch of extra stuff. They added anywhere they could add extra, and it's crazy because it literally is just the first act.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts.
That's insane.
Don't bother.
It's so good.
Insane.
You can watch at home now, and I think that's probably the way to go because you can like pause it, you can go get dinner.
That's probably what they hoped you would do. Only the sickos go to the theater.
I went to the theater. My roommate is obsessed with Wicked.
Sicko!
I mean, A for the sicko.
I went in theaters. It was very fun to see something that's so graphically stunning on a huge screen. I will say that much. Like it is gorgeous the way that it's filmed and done. But it is very long.
I will
not
say,
been to the
if you're
movies.
a wrestling fan, as a wrestling fan, if you look at it through that lens, there's a whole lot of plot holes.
Oh man, I watched through a wrestling lens Gladiator 2. Oh my god, the plot holes was as much as Raw on Netflix. It was
Jeez.
crazy. It was crazy.
Was there as much celebrities waving in Gladiator
we were
as there was in
thinking-
Raw on Netflix?
With the gladiators saying, "Oh, thank you."
It was like, thank you, the Roman Empire. Thank you, Roman Empire.
I would like to thank
Vanessa
Julius
Hudgens
Caesar
was there. It
personally.
was weird.
She was wearing
Yeah.
this jacket. It said "Live, Love, Die." I don't know what it was about.
I think it's supposed to be Dom, not die. Dominant. Lift up Dom. Lift up Dom.
Okay.
My bad.
Crazy me.
Also, real quick, gotta give a shout out to Pal Driver having the best quote. She came down in a bubble, dude. Grow up.
Grow
She
up.
was the freaking wicked
Who
witch of
was
the
her
West.
sister? The Wicked Witch
Prince.
of the West, bro.
She came
Come
down
on.
in a bubble.
Bro, she came down in a bubble, bro. What was her sister? Oh, classic.
That's classic
Classic.
internet lore. Look it up, guys. She came down in a bubble, dude, or
She
Doug.
came
I
down
don't know
in
what
a
it says.
bubble, bro. The best. Well, we will get out of here and let you guys get on the road. We went a little long today, but stick around and support the TNA post show. They've got a lot to talk about, I'm sure, over there in TNA land. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Later.
This was the most inoffensive crossover we've ever done.
Hell yeah, brother.
Where the hell is my... Did somebody delete our background?
This is malarkey.
Especially because this is the Impact channel.
Dude, exactly. And over here, we support TNA Impact, okay?
I'm going to have to have some words with these people.
Joel's about
Where
to
is
cut
it?
a You People promo.
No, I'm too tired for that shit.
I mean,
There we go. We're back.
we're not going to cut that. As it turns out, clerical error.
Hey, did you delete my background?
Not the Frozen.
I just froze.
It's the best because this is like someone's corporate card.
I'm just gonna leave this up until she gets rid of it.
This is not unsettling at all.
Kate, welcome to your performance review.
Frozen Kate is not going to hurt you. Frozen Kate is not real.
This is actually the funniest shit. Oh, she left.
Frozen Kate is our friend. How are you, Joel? How's your new year? Happy New Year.
We did a show last week before it was still
Did
the new
we?
year. We did.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is why it's important to take your B12 vitamins and memory stuff. I'm like 9,000 years old. There's sand in there. Sand and beetles.
I get it. I've been up since 6 o'clock. I'm half asleep at the switch, but I'll be fine. Listen, I was gonna say something earlier during the crossover, but I left it to myself. This was a maintenance episode. It was fine.
Uh-huh.
I feel like this is how we start a lot of our shows. It was fine. Yeah, that's how I feel. How'd you feel about tonight's episode?
It was a lot of talking. I will say that. I will also say I have finally come to a peaceful resolution with somebody who was
final?
in, huh?
Was it a final resolution?
Not a peaceful one, because the final one is like, I'm not watching this chicken shit gig anymore. Now, now I've found a happy medium or a peaceful medium with Tessa Blanchard and how I have to view this going forward for the sake of professional wrestling.
I mean,
declare.
Well, let me put it like this. I went from going to a museum, of which I'm a patron, and going to an exhibit preview about the horrors of Auschwitz to a lifeless Tessa Blanchard pull apart tonight. So that's how my night has been.
I'm treating Tessa Blanchard the same way I treat those Logan fellers. I want you to get knocked out, pal. Is it going to happen? Probably not. But as long as I have that in mind, there's always going to be.
Well, who knows what tomorrow will bring.
Tomorrow will bring the sun. Let the sun shine.
Well, I don't know about that, at least here. It's been a lot of not sunny days.
Are you in Alaska?
No, I'm not. Sun comes up at 8, it goes down at 4. We got sun and cloud tomorrow. Tomorrow is when I do my morning show. That's when we give the weather. Today, let's do this. All right, shall we?
Hell yeah, brother. We got this.
1, 2. Hello, friends. We're back again. It's Fightful.com, and it's time for your TNA Impact post show. It is January 9th, 2025. As always, the one and only Cresta Star joins me on the road to Genesis. How you doing, Cresta?
I'm doing well. Genesis card is shaping up. I am quite excited. I'm a little sad because I feel like this is going to be the end for some people, like we've been discussing. But, hopefully new stories start up after Genesis and we get some interesting things. Interesting, like PCO unearthing himself and Death Meat.
Yeah, we'll talk about why that's a very interesting situation now. How about we'll get to that? There's plenty to discuss from the PCO side of things. There are things that you don't know yet that are out there, but I know that you haven't seen yet. Anyway, plenty to talk about tonight. We're one more episode away from TNA Genesis. That's going to air next week. We will be live after Genesis, which is the Sunday, the 19th, if I'm not mistaken. They're running a Sunday pay-per-view? What's wrong with this company?
Oh, honestly, I live because it doesn't conflict with anything else, and I could watch SmackDown. I've been lacking in my wrestling in December because everyone's away and I wasn't feeling it, and now I'm rejuvenated. So I'm not going to hold you. It sucks because it makes the weekend very long. However, I would take a Sunday pay-per-view. Wish
it had been Saturday. Should have been the 18th. But anyway, Steven Jensen, Cresta Star, and I, we will be here live after Genesis to discuss everything that happens. That's right. Steven Jensen didn't decide. He was told the GCW show is not as important as you like to think it is. I'm sorry, brother.
I wouldn't be able to make it Saturday anyway. I'm going to a Final Fantasy orchestra. I'm going to go be a nerd in public.
Boy, you really are. Good for you.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't know why I wanted to put that in there, but I did.
Well, no, it's because other people were like, oh, what about the Collision review had it been on the Saturday? And I just love it. You're like, no, completely something else.
Yeah, I'm not going to be there, pal. Sorry.
That's fine. Well, you know what? You're here now, so why don't you leave a thumbs up on the video. If you're listening to us in the audio realm, drop 5 stars, would you? Let them know that we are the place where you come for your hot wrestling takes and just analysis, because that's what we do here. And of course, you can subscribe to Fightful Select, the best $5, soon to be $6 in the business. The end of January brings a change. Our base tier will go from $5 a month to $6 a month. But if you want to lock in now at a lower rate, you can lock in $54 for the year, and that'll take you through this calendar year, and then whatever you do afterwards. If you're on a higher tier, those aren't changing. Just the $5 becomes $6. Everything's cool. So are you. You can subscribe to us here at youtube.com/Fightful. That's always good. Lots of new content coming your way, not just post shows. We're working on some wrestling history stuff, some other hot take review type content here on the channel. So go keep your eyes peeled for that. And of course, over on Fightful Select, you'll get plenty of news, contract news, Malachi Black news, Sour Graps, the Weekender podcast with Steven Jensen, the aforementioned co-host of the Genesis post show, and of course, Sean's Q&A. Cresta, of course, we'll tell you about the Humper Chat situation right meow.
Right now, you're going to take your fingers or your thumb on your mobile device or your keyboard and go to humperchats.com. Yes, HUMPERCHATS.com. There you can put your dollar amount, any dollar amount, and your comment. Joel and myself will read, respond, and give you our 2 cents that'll equal $1. And speaking of which, we get to keep more of the dollar amount that you put in humperchats.com. It makes us happy, Fightful happy, and guess what? Sean pays us, so it keeps us paid. Don't you want to pay us? Don't you want to help? Humperchats.com. Do it.
Don't you really want to pay us?
Don't you really want to make us smile?
Nice.
That's all I got.
No, that's good enough. And also, you can donate a super chat and email, get your question statement read on the air. YouTube just takes more of it. But if it's easier for you, do whatever works. let's talk about TNA Impact. This was a solid show. It was a wrestling heavy show. A lot of official announcements for TNA Genesis, which I appreciate. Now the card is shaping up. There are some misunderstandings have been rectified, and we'll talk about those as we get through the night. But overall, what do you think of TNA for tonight?
It was pretty solid. I thought it was a lot of talking, but now that I'm looking at mine, I was like, oh, there was quite a bit of wrestling now that you've said something. I really do appreciate sometimes at TNA throwbacks, and this week I thought was very apt considering what's going on in AEW. So I see you. You're smart.
I skipped past the TNA Plus things.
It was Jeff Jarrett versus Kurt Angle with a 6-sided ring. I think it was Genesis 2000 something or the other. Not quite sure. I want to say 6.
That would have been 2005? Because 06 was Angle and Joe.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I wasn't watching TNA then, but they played that throwback. And I was like, okay, I see you. This is not the first time TNA has done that. They've done something similar. I forgot who else. And they had a throwback and they were doing something in AEW. So I see you TNA.
Oh, it was fine. Anyway, I didn't watch the throwback. I feel like it's just their way of being like, hey, we don't know what to do. Dex is saying 2009. Maybe it was. I don't know. Chat, if you figure it out, if you Google it, sure, whatever. I'm at that point in my night where I'm just like, whatever you tell me, I will read from the teleprompter.
And I'm Joel Pearl.
Damn it, I've told you 100 times. If you put it on the prompter, he will read it. Show opens up with Eric Young, Jonathan Gresham, and Steve Macklin defeating the System. It's a team of Edward Edwards, Brian Myers, and JDC. It's a solid, quick 6-man opening contest. Macklin hits caught in the crosshairs and the KIA on JDC for the win. Really, the post-match is the big deal. Is there anything you want to talk about in the match before we talk about the post-match and then stuff that comes up a little bit later in the show?
All I have is compliments for the System. Licious dress tonight, 10 out of 10, would recommend. And the System is really great at isolating people when they do the tag team matches. It's top tier tag work. Those are my only 2 notes, because before I turned around, the KIA was out and it was over. Yeah,
it was a quick, efficient match. Got it, whatever they needed to do, they got it done. I do appreciate that they put the focus on Macklin. They put the focus on Macklin and EY, and then Jonathan Gresham was there basically to get written off, because after the match, the System beat down all 3 men, and then Gresham gets the worst of it, gets the chair wrapped around his neck and then sent into the ring post. And then later on, Macklin and Eric Young are just like, all right, well, you heated up that whole thing. You tried to end Gresham's career. EY calls it a declaration of war. And then First Class come in and they laugh and they cry. And then they basically make a match between EY, Macklin, and First Class for next week. So there you go. First Class want tag team gold. Macklin and Eric Young look like a good option for a tag team trying to climb the ranks of TNA. What do you think of those 2 teams not only squaring off, but also their potential work in the tag division?
RP Gresham, you didn't ask for any of this. You're the main guy just trying to fight and get this over and done with, and you're the sacrificial lamb. So rest in peace, Gresham. We barely knew ye. Also, did they call themselves the Renegades?
So I think that is where they're headed for a tag team name. They did reference that. That's what Eric Young called them. Mm-hmm. They didn't officially name their team that. At least TNA hasn't officially named them that.
So, I mean, I don't mind seeing Eric Young and Steve Macklin beat up First Class, but also, I feel like not 3 months ago, not 4 months ago, Macklin and Eric Young were like, I don't want to do tag teams. I'm tired of being in the tag team. I'm over this tag team situation. I understand now we have a common goal and a common enemy in the System, but I mean, I guess I'll take it. But I guess that's my only complaint. That's my only complaint. But I don't mind them as a tag team. They do have great chemistry, and I think right now a tag team shakeup wouldn't be bad in both the knockouts and the men's division.
It does change things up, which I appreciate, because this is a TNA that's in need of a few extra tag teams, and a thrown together tag team that does well, especially with 2 stars. Again, we talk about Macklin and EY being very similar but very different, also 2 different vintages. EY has been around forever, since the start of TNA, and Macklin has been the up-and-comer for he's established, but he's been one of the hearts of TNA for the last 3-4 years. So for them to work together, it makes sense. And for them to go after tag team gold, honestly, it's something that breaks them out of going after the world title. That's already bogged down with plenty of talent that are going after, and it'll change as new champions emerge and as babyface and heel alignments kind of change up. So I don't hate it. I think you're right that them saying like, well, we don't need to team up. And then they're like, well, we got to team up because they kind of try to kill Jonathan Gresham.
I mean, again, if anything, I feel bad. Jonathan Gresham's like, I'm just here to wrestle. And what happens in TNA? You die.
They haven't ended him yet. They've merely knocked him out. They did the Ricochet finish. He's out indefinitely. They haven't announced it yet, but
he's going to come back as an octopus again.
I swear to God, that's the one story. I just wish they hadn't dropped out of nowhere. It was so good. It was doing stuff. It was doing good stuff. I liked
it. It was pretty funny. It was pretty fun. I was like, what's happening here? And he forgot, just like Tony Storm.
You can have Jonathan Gresham show up in a few weeks on TNA and go, aha! Sorry, that's a
stop. But bald people are up. Bald people are up. This is the year of the bald, man.
You had the crowd cheering. What were they cheering at Josh Alexander at the end of the match? They were chanting something at him. Hold on, I have it in my notes. Oh, they're chanting bald ass head. Bald ass head. Bald ass head.
When I went to Hammerstein for the Ring of Honor and the AEW, all you kept hearing was chants every time someone bald, except for Claudio Castagnoli specifically. But you just heard bald. So I expect 2025 is the year of the bald. And if we hear one, well, who else is bald in TNA if Gresham's gone?
EY.
Oh, yeah.
AJ Francis.
Oh, yeah.
If we're lucky, Joe Hendry gets his head shaved.
Don't do that.
Why not, coward?
I am a coward. You know me. I told you I would take the pin. Stop.
Joe Hendry has an interview that I thought was actually pretty well done, talking about how he came to wrestling and how he developed his character based on watching the popular guys come out to popular music and the crowd liking their popularity was effectively what he said. He talks about his wrestling background, his judo background, how his TNA fandom was watching the wrestling channel in the UK, which I was like, what channel was that? Like, what? It wasn't Pluto TV back in 2006. So I don't know what he was watching that was the wrestling channel, because like
it was a UK exclusive.
Like ITW is the main. Sorry, what am I thinking of? It's like for Canadians, it's like their CBC. It's like their network broadcaster. Okay, it's like their public broadcaster. That's ITW, not to be confused with In the Weeds. But then there's also the like Sky Sports, which had WWF programming back in the 90s. And that was a pape channel. So like, where the fuck was he watching this stuff? And then TNA aired in the UK. I don't remember where it aired in the UK, but I just found it funny that Hendry was just like, it showed all the wrestling shows. Why is he Drew McIntyre? Anyway, he said it showed all the wrestling shows. And then he talked about having an iPod video. And I was like, I had one too, Joe. I had one too. And he said the only video he ever put on it was the match between Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle at Genesis 2006 and how that relates to his match coming up at Genesis for the World Championship against Nick Nemeth and how important that is to him. My main question to you, Cresta, is what video did you put on your video iPod?
Bold of you to assume I had a video iPod.
Did you?
No. I had the big iPod, like one of the first or second generation. No, I had a Zune first, and then I had an iPod. And that was it. I'm trying to think of anything else I had. After that, I was kind of just on the phone, or I wait till I got home and played Pandora. Or what was the other one that used to be able to get skins for? WinFX? No. Oh my God. Winamp. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Oh,
love Winamp.
We're old.
Do you know what I had on my my old iPod video?
What?
Seasons 1 through 4 of House.
I've never got into House because every time I begin to like it, I'm like, wait, you're kind of just an asshole with a crutch and you're smart. But then I'm like, that's Rick and Morty. And I like Rick and Morty.
It's Sherlock Holmes too.
Dang.
Yeah, if you didn't know already, I just blew your mind.
I mean, I only seen the Sherlock Holmes or Robert Downey Jr., but I feel like almost every Robert Downey Jr., he's some smart, smug guy as Robert Downey Jr.
You didn't watch the one where Lucy Liu played Holmes? Not Holmes. Was it Holmes? Oh, damn it. That's going to bug me forever.
Joel, I'm going to be real with you. All I watch is wrestling and RuPaul's Drag Race because it's the same show, just at opposite ends of the spectrum.
Elementary was the show I was thinking of.
Never seen it.
Anyway, Lucy Liu plays the sidekick.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I wanted to say I'd watch it, but I'm a liar.
They wanted to put it on his head a little bit. She was Watson. She was Joan Watson.
Watson was always sick of his shit.
Yeah. And then Johnny Lee Miller was Holmes.
I don't even know who that is.
Some British guy.
Chip. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, also bald.
Bald. 2025 bald. Yo, should I go Kurt Angle every time on the show like I did for Halloween? Just bald?
You could if you want.
That's a lot of work. Dude
has a kickboxing record of 1-0.
Retire the champion. Smart.
Retire the champ. This rules. Anyway, come for TNA, stay for the weird Sherlock Holmes conversation.
It's a good time down here, clowns.
Someone in the TNA office is just like, what the fuck is happening right now?
We're having a good time. This is a great segue because TNA is just as theatrical as Sherlock Holmes. Next segment.
Well, it was better than mine. Speaking of Lucy Liu, Laying Lee defeats Savannah Evans. I couldn't do it, you see, so I changed it around. Laying Lee comes back. She defeats Savannah Evans. Xia Brookside was supposed to face Savannah, but she's not cleared to compete. We wish her well. She was legitimately injured at the time of the tapings. I think she's still got a little bit more time before she comes back. Hopefully she comes back soon. A lot of this match, I could hear the ring squeaking, and that kind of threw me off, but otherwise it was a short match. Laying Lee gets most of the offense. Evans goes for the full Nelson bomb, and Lee turns it into Thunderstruck, gets the win. Solid match. Laying Lee is back in the win column. What'd you think?
Not mad at it. Just a little surprised that Laying. Oh my God. I know this is like a tongue twister to me.
Yeah, you too.
Laying Lee. I'm surprised that she won the way they have been building Savannah Evans. However, not mad at it. If these two women, which are very clear powerhouses, exchange whatever back and forth, not mad at it. And I think we were talking about this, if not last week or 2 weeks before, how with Grace leaving and Masha at the top of the card, you need, I feel like TNA's always had two muscle women, two big meaty women. And I feel with Laying Lee and Savannah Evans, you've got two budding beef brisket stars there. You got your skirt steak right there, baby.
And we talked about this last month or 2 months ago. The ideas that we had were that Savannah Evans would challenge for the Knockouts title at Final Resolution. Then Laying Lee. Now I'm doing it.
She's kicking our ass.
It happened to me when we first started talking to her. Anyway, the idea being that Laying Lee would then do the Genesis match, and that might be the end of Masha's title reign, but instead it's not where they're going. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but again, I'm looking forward to the build. Looks like they're putting more into Laying Lee than they are Savannah Evans. It's not a bad thing. Savannah has been with the company for long enough that you just kind of know her place for now. Could she challenge for the title at one point? Sure, but as of right now, it felt like the plan is Laying Lee and then also Xia Brookside when she's available again.
Not mad at it as far as like a women's mid card, and I could even see Lee and Evans going for a digital media or the X division if they really wanted to. You know what I mean? Yeah,
absolutely. But who knows? For now, neither of them are challenging for the title.
Right now, they're beefing with each other.
That's fine. Let it happen. Mike Santana's beefing with the Northern Armory. He puts down both members of Sinner and Saint, Judas Icarus and Travis Williams. And then Josh Alexander comes out. The match doesn't it's supposed to be a gauntlet match. Santana versus Northern Armory. Gets 2 down. Alexander comes in. He starts it, but then Sinner and Saint come in and they take out Santana. Alexander gets his headgear back, hits a C4 spike. Crowd chants bald ass head. Match itself was actually really good. Santana, it was one of those like Santana what's the word I'm thinking of? Showcase matches.
That's literally what I wrote in my notes. Santana showcase.
Yeah, just get your shit in. And he gets all his shit and gets to spin the block. He does the alley-oop into the power bomb. He does the buckle bomb. Like, he does everything. It was great. Sinner and Saint look good in this too, individually. But the main point here is that we're getting Alexander and Mike Santana at Genesis. And like you and I talked about, this is the transference of heart and soul of TNA to Mike Santana when all is said and done. But this match itself, it was good. What do you think of building this this gauntlet into what will be the one-on-one match at Genesis?
This match was fine. Only one complaint, and I wrote it down because I was upset about this. When Santana was wrestling Travis Williams, I felt we got maybe 1, 2, 3 sequence, then a commercial, and then he got pinned when we got back. I was like, hey, yo, we missed most of that. I mean, granted we did get Travis in his entirety, but I'm just like, whatever. Also, Josh Alexander, I live for this heel, Josh Alexander, like not coming out with them. I was like, oh, I smell a stunt. And then when he did come out just to do the no contest, like, you're a jerk, man. Like, you made this man wrestle these guys for nothing. This is low key what Moose did to you. What? You're a jerk. I live. This is solid stuff, and I'm happy to be a TNA fan in this moment to watch Josh Alexander, the guy that everyone was ready to cry, pee on themselves, and poop on themselves because he's the heart and soul. Now people call him bald ass head. This is great. I love wrestling.
Bald ass head. Iceman announces the tag title match for the Knockouts tag team titles at Genesis. It's going to be Spitfire, the champions, taking on Ash and Heather by Elegance, or as we call them, the Elegances. Just like we call Alicia and Edward the Edwardses. Anyway, next week they're talking about a pre-match victory party.
Only thing I expect is very pretty outfits.
Yeah, pretty outfits and championship title belts being raised above heads of who knows.
Maybe a champagne bottle getting hit on someone's, because I'm assuming this is the pre-announcement, so they're not having the match. It's just them cutting a promo being jabronis.
I'm all about it. Listen, last week we saw the last shot of the night was the Elegance holding up those Knockouts tag titles, so just do it again.
I mean, at this point, no matter what I feel, it's gonna happen, so I'm going to enjoy it. I can't wait for the fashion.
Feel like Spitfire is gonna, get the upper hand, and then the Elegances are gonna get the win.
They're gonna cheat. Oh, they're gonna cheat. Oh, baby. I know these girls are cheaters. They're gonna cheat to win.
And I'm all about it. Speaking of Rosemary and cheating, and it wasn't Rosemary, but speaking of cheating, Rosemary is at the bar, kind of. She's drinking at a bar, but she's sitting on the bar. She's Rosemary. And she's basically talking to herself, and all of a sudden you hear out of the corner, like, what are you going to do? And it's Raven, and it rules. And Raven is just, he completely doesn't give a shit, which is my favorite part about Raven. He's like, are you ready to win the belt? What's it been, like 6, 7, 8 years? And he says win the belt, by the way. He doesn't, none of the WWE talk of like win the championship or earn the title, whatever. It's just win the belt. And then he says it's been 6, 7, 8 years. And then Rosemary grabs him and pulls him in close, puts the knife to his neck, and he's just smiling like a psychopath. And he starts like talking about how he what did he say? It's a good thing I'm taken.
Oh, she puts the knife to his throat, and she says something like, I'll slit your throat, so I'll stick it. I don't know what Michelle he said, but I'm taking. I can't.
Fantastic. All of this just to do a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match at Genesis between Masha and Rosemary. Honestly, this is fine. I'm glad that they made this a plunder match, because otherwise nobody's out here thinking Rosemary's going to dethrone Masha Slamovich. And we know that Masha's really good in hardcore scenarios, so give the people what they want. And it's completely different from the other singles knockout match on the card. So I'm okay with it.
I like these two girls, but you know how I feel about blood. And these two girls will give it up to each other. So to quote Queen, no.
It's gonna be great.
I assure you this match is going to be fantastic. 10 out of 10 in the Tokyo Dome and Bikini Bottom. But I also know that the possibility for blood is 90%, and I'm soft. Okay, so this match, two of my faves, but
You're gonna be watching that through your fingers.
yeah, you already know.
Of course, you're gonna be telling us on the post show, just being like, I don't know what happened. All I know is that Masha won and she's bloody.
I opened my eyes and I fainted again. I subsequently missed the next match afterward.
When I came to, Joe Hendry was champion.
Thankfully in time, because I can't woke up. No, what? Forget it. I stuttered too much. The joke is gone. Next segment.
Rascals defeat the Good Hands. Treehouse is better than the Trailer Park, say the Good Hands. And then they do the sports heat, and it's stupid, but whatever. It's the Good Hands. Shout out to John Schuyler, by the way. He's re-signed with TNA, as did Masha, the aforementioned Masha Slamovich, Knockouts World Champion, and Ash by Elegance. Those three appeared with Sean Ross Sapp recently on a little interview because Sean reached out to TNA and was like, hey, I heard these three re-sign. TNA was like, yes, now interview all three. And so Sean did it. They put them all on screen and they talked. So go check that out over on youtube.com/Fightful. Wentz has his balls crushed by the Good Hands. And that's it. That's the match. Skylar gets hit with a super kick and then the knees, and that's it. The Rascals get another victory en route to the match against the Hardys for the tag team titles at Genesis.
Pecan pie on Trey Miguel's Royal Jewels.
It was Wentz. It was Zachary Wentz.
Oh, sorry. Well, pecan pie out of Zachary Wentz's Royal, out of his yam bags. Yeah, sweet potato pie out of his yam bags.
Backstage, Kazarian runs into Rhino. Rhino's getting ready for his match, and he says, hey, maybe I'll cash in this bad boy if you hit a gore on Nick Nemeth. And I'm like, that is hilarious. Just randomly walking up to people who are going to have matches with Nick Nemeth and telling them, hey, if you do the thing, I'll do my thing. Kazarian's a top tier worker.
He's the best worst uncle in wrestling right now. Just like R-Truth, but for a different reason, for a completely different. At first I hated this, and now I'm like, yo, you're the worst. Keep it up.
Never stop.
Never stop. Looking like an uncle from Spy Kids. I hate it, but I love it. Don't change. This is so good. I hate it. I hate that I like it so much. You got me.
What do you think happens to the scarf afterwards once he cashes in that trophy? What do you think happens to the scarf? Do they keep the scarf for next year?
In my mind, I know it's not going to happen. He wins the title, and the belt strap is a scarf.
I mean, he might just tie the scarf to the belt, and I think he will win, by the way.
Like, awesome Steven Tyler, make it really hippie so you can be super obnoxious. Oh, that'd be the best worst. Oh, can you imagine if he starts thinking like he's a 1990s sex symbol? Oh, do it, Frankie Kazarian. Yes. Do it. Oh, my God, do it.
Frankie coming out there and trying to sing Love in an Elevator. Oh, let's go.
Oh, my. And with the title, like Shawn Michaels with just the title.
Frankie comes out and he's just like, Frankie's got a gun.
Ooh, Frankie, if y'all come to New York and you do that, I'll give you $1.
Hey, he might be the champion when they get to New York in July. Who knows?
Oh, man. And he has to wear the glasses.
Oh, he'll be wearing the glasses. Of course he will.
This is fan. Don't book this for nobody else but Cresta Star. Nobody else. I don't care. Keep it up.
So this next segment is my favorite because Moose comes out with Lish, and I'll let you start because it's your favorite part of every episode of Impact.
Do you want to know something?
Just fantastic. Now every time she says it, I think of you.
Honestly, sometimes I just want to walk into a room and do that and have people look at me weird. I'm like, yo, trust the system. They're going to ask me to leave, so I don't.
It's perfect. So Moose says he's going to beat the hell out of Ace Austin at Genesis. They got an X Division title match. And then after everything, he gives Alicia Edwards the X Division title belt and says he's going to debut a new X Division title belt fit for the face of the franchise. So as is tradition, wrestling fans, when they originally got the spoilers from this event, they thought that Moose was retiring the X Division title and starting a new one. And everyone got up in arms. They was like, oh, why are they getting rid of the X Division? And I sat here for weeks. online on our Fightful Discord and of course on this show. And I was just like, that's not what's happening. He's not getting rid of the X Division title. He's just doing the MJF American title when Ospreay's after the international title. Like, that's all that this is. It's a heat check. Like, it's a heat belt that he's creating. So anyway, I'm glad to have that be confirmed. It's just a new ugly ass Moose belt to go with Moose's ugly ass shoes from tonight. Those Shrek ass green whatever those were.
Get him, Joel.
Don't know what that is. Trey Miguel once told me that Moose has the most amount of shoes in TNA, but he doesn't have the fashion of the shoes in TNA. So pretty sure actually Jay Chung also confirmed that once upon a time. So everyone loves to rag on Moose, but everyone seems to just be fine with Moose. I don't know. It's just what it is.
Sometimes you have that one friend. It's like, we love you, but we know what you are, and it's a corn.
Andrew Everett comes out, former Impact Tag Team Champion on his own. Hey, do you know who the Tag Team Champion he was champions with? The wrestler he was Tag Team Champions with?
I don't know that man. I'm so sorry to that man. If I saw that man in the street, I would walk right past him. I don't know that man. I am so sorry to that man. You
would know who the Tag Champion is.
I don't know who Andrew Everett is.
Oh, no, you don't know who Andrew Everett is, but his Tag Team Champion cohort, his name was DJZ. You know him now as Joaquin Wilde.
Oh, look at that. I learned something. I'm always learning things on TNA post show.
Well, the giant Andrew Everett, he's 7'4". He challenges Moose to a match for the X Division Championship. By the way, yes, he is 7'4". Don't cameras are weird. Andrew Everett, he's 7'4".
You know what? You're right. No. You're right. I'm not going to question it.
Yeah. Everett hits a springboard flip to the outside. Moose hits a choke bomb from the top rope from Everett. The Everett's on the top rope. Moose hits a choke bomb onto the apron to the floor, then a power bomb onto the ring apron, and then onto the ring another one. Puts the foot on the chest, and those Shrek ass kicks get the 3 count. Anything you have to add about Moose versus Andrew Everett?
Not really. All I have is it's crazy that Moose would say that the X Division Championship is an ugly ass belt when I distinctly remember you digging in the garbage for the TNA Championship when the Impact Championship. I just think maybe you shouldn't be calling anything an ugly ass belt when people remember you digging in the garbage. That's all I'm gonna say.
Damn.
Listen, I just thought it was funny. Moose like his ugly ass. I'm like, yo, what's wrong with the X Division belt? Didn't you really look in the garbage for that TNA belt with that white ass strap and you was unrecognized? People was cooking you for weed. Let me shut up for you, big boot me. Because I'll do the job. I don't care. I'll take the pick.
Santino Marella's in the back looking at videos of raccoons and saying, oh, I didn't know they were so dangerous. You lived in Canada. You know better. You live in Canada. You still do. Anyway, Sammy Callihan comes up and says, PCO is eating raw meat in the back. And we should get the winner of the tag title. This is what he said. We should get the winners of the tag title match.
I laughed then too. I'm immature.
This is what it is. And the second that they said that, I had a good cackle because then Santino's like, how about next week? It's Death Meat. That's the name of the tag team that Santino thinks this is with Sammy and PCO versus the Hardys. And he says if Death Meat wins, they're in the tag title match at Genesis. I'm cackling because I know you didn't see this week. Remember how I mentioned Jensen and the GCW show that he thought he was going to cover instead of doing our post show?
Yes.
You know who just got announced to be on that GCW Hammerstein show?
Sammy Callihan?
PCO.
Wait.
And the photo of him on the GCW show includes the digital media and the stupid Canadian International Heavyweight Championship belt that he has.
You know, so I guess they're not going and winning against the hard boy.
PCO, when asked, said he couldn't give up working, that he couldn't pass up the opportunity to work Hammerstein. Sure.
I respect it.
Sure. However, he also hasn't been promoting much of the TNA stuff. Okay. Remember, we talked about this. All the talent that had contracts that were coming up at the end of 2024, because that's what TNA typically did, was sign people at the beginning, especially when they were doing the rebrand. PCO was the first rebrand signing announcement. That was October 2023.
True.
When all of these announced contracts were ending, the first thing I said was, PCO was first, and he's never been announced as having re-signed. Did he re-sign? I haven't heard anything. I don't know. However, I find it funny that GCW used a promotional photo of him with those TNA digital media championships, and then the other whatever one that the Canadian fake one. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's happening with PCO or his contract. I don't know what the expectation is. It could easily be that next week he's going to get written out and that's it. But regardless, this was a hilarious segment to air now, knowing what we know from the week past.
That is pretty funny. I would assume that he would get written off and maybe Death Meat gets a new tag partner or something. Like they win, but I don't know. I'm not a wrestling writer. I'm just a guy on the internet.
We still have to deal with that 23 bullshit.
I forgot about that. You know what? I don't think if this is, I don't know, man. I don't.
They might just give PCO the deal to come in on the live show and get beat up by Sammy, and then that's it.
Then who's 23?
Sammy Callihan's 23. It's been Sammy the entire time.
My next follow-up question is then why? But then I remember this is wrestling. It doesn't matter why.
Because Sammy has been playing this guy who really wants the digital media championship. He doesn't care about anything else. He's just cozying up to PCO to give him a false sense of security, because every time PCO has a match, he can, he can basically kill his own body off and he'll still win the match. But if he likes you, who knows? But the whole thing with 23 has always been like, they see it and then Sammy overreacts. He's like, oh, we got to find them and stop them. And it's like, you just.
Sammy always overreacts. So I think it's genuine.
No. This is the overreacting. It was just not. It just hasn't been good. They can easily be something else. And I'll look and I'll be like, okay, that was cute. But like, I just feel like they're going to write off PCO with 23 and it's going to be Sammy.
All right. Well, I have nothing to add to that.
Great. Jordan Grace comes out, challenges Tessa to come face her in the ring like a woman. Tessa shows up, they fight, and the crowd doesn't give a shit. Security ref pull apart. Can't tell you I care about this match happening. Love Jordan Grace, but the other half just don't care.
Yeah. I mean, what I want, I know is not going to happen. So I watch this, and to quote Marshawn Lynch, I'm just here so I don't get fired. Next segment.
Maybe they should just give her a can of real American beer. That'll go over well.
My mom said if you have nothing nice to say nothing at all. So I choose to smile in this moment.
Frankie Kazarian joins commentary for the main event. It's Rhino's last match in TNA for the time being. He teams up with Joe Hendry to defeat the Nemeths. Ryan Nemeth is a piece of garbage human being, and it's wonderful. He's cheating behind the back of referee Daniel Spencer, who no doubt was distracted by a shiny object at ringside. Nick Nemeth is acting like he's got no idea. But what did they do? They referenced and acknowledged JBL.
Finally, he said Joe Hendry. I think he said Joe Hendry would have won if it wasn't for JBL and then you being the special guest referee at one point on commentary. Why don't you look at your notes, Cresta? That's why you take notes, so you don't have to think with your fucking lizard brain.
I am the lizard queen. What was that?
The little lizards on the... It's late. Leave me alone.
Audio crowd just got very confused.
I'm not going to give you the ASMR on the audio because I think that's going to be way weird. You guys are fantastic. Thank you for listening to us.
Don't lick your microphone.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
So they acknowledge JBL, and they also acknowledge that Santino has a lack of input when it comes to the JBL stuff. And that was kind of brought to everyone's attention at first, but it hasn't been talked about again.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be in Dallas for this pay-per-view. JBL will almost certainly be there because it's an actual pay-per-view, not a special, not an AJ Francis main event. It's going to be an actual storyline match that they have. So JBL will be there, and I'm sure that they'll do something with it. But regardless, I do appreciate that they actually acknowledged the JBL story and that Santino has been involved as well. Rhino goes Rhino gores Ryan Nemeth. It's a lot of R's in that sentence. Nick retaliates with a super kick. They go to the outside. Hendry's alone with Ryan in the ring. Hits a big old standing ovation for the win. And that's how we finish the night.
I really got nothing for that, except I saw the look on Nick Nemeth's face at the end, like, oh, okay, Joe. I want them to finally explain something with this JBL. I feel like it needs to pay off now. To quote Joel Pearl, I'm tired of getting honey dipped with Joel Hendry. So I hope everything pays off, or at least begins to pay off at Genesis, where we get the ball rolling and we get more storylines furthered, or at least a Nemeth heel turn. Come on.
I have made it. I have said it that I think Hendry should win at Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
I think that whoever he faces at Sacrifice in March, after that match, Kazarian should cash in. I think Kazarian should carry the title into July to Slammiversary. They could do later than that, because I mean March through May, they could have him win it, before. But I think Kazarian should have the world title going into Slammiversary, and that's the crowning moment for Mike Santana. Santana, kid from New York, big moment. You got UBS Arena. He went to UBS when they did the ticket on sale. Like he's been around the arena. I think it's time. And you don't want to do Santana versus Hendry for the title.
Oh, nah.
That's not going to be a good. That's not. It's not the match.
Yeah, no, I could see Hendry versus Nemeth. Even if JBL interferes, you have Kazarian cash in somehow and do some swervy dervy stuff.
I don't even know what you do with the Nemeth at that point. Once Nick drops the title, maybe they let him go take a little bit of time off, come back whenever. I don't know. But for me, for my money, Santana getting the moment at UBS, and he beats Frankie Kazarian. And Frankie and Santana have had some matches and some good ones at that. They've got it. There is opportunity there. As for Hendry, I don't know who he would face in July, but you would easily find someone that's a big deal. You could do Moose.
He got the X Division. He could, yeah. I was gonna say Hammerstone or Jake something, but they're in a tag team together. They're Hammer something right now. So I mean, not Jake something. Moose could see someone he doesn't want to wrestle, but I'm gonna go fight Joe Hendry. He sucks. Or I'm gonna go fight. I'm a cheese Santana after a hard fought match, fighting someone like a Jake something or a Steve Macklin, where they're really going to give it to Santana. And at the end, Moose is going to do what Moose does. I'm cashing in, pal.
I still think Moose is going to ultimately drop the title to Leon Slater.
I don't hate that.
That's been kind of out there, kind of teased, kind of out there. It's like, what's Leon Slater going to do as he builds towards his biggest moment? That's kind of what I see there, but that's July. So who knows? Yeah.
Don't hate it.
That's TNA Impact for January 9th. My robot vacuum just decided to wake itself up, so I'm going to go stop it. Cresta, what you got going on for yourself this week?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you so much for being here. As always, I'm here every Thursday. Myself and the beautiful, illustrious Joel Pearl go on right after the beautiful people at the ROH show. And every Saturday, or most Saturdays, you can find me here on Fightful again, going over Collision with the beautiful Iridian and the handsome Rick. Wednesdays, you can find me over on my personal channel, Cresta Star, on twitch.tv and TikTok, as long as it's still around in the US. I'll be live there as well. And there's something else I'm forgetting to promote, but I cannot. Oh, I just did a a recasting with Kate, where we recast everyone from Wicked as wrestling fans, and I did it in drag as Barbara from Shipping. It's quite funny, and I committed to the bit. So you should definitely go and check it out. Outside of that, follow me on social media. Anywhere you can type Cresta Star. I'm on Blue Sky. You're fantastic. Your butt looks nice. I hope you find $20 on the floor. Joel Burrow, where can the people find you, and what you got going on?
There's no money on the floor. What happened?
Listen, I said I hope. I'm not Miss Cleo. I'm not a soothsayer. I'm not Seth Rollins. I'm not a visionary.
It's the worst. The robot vacuum probably sucked it up. I go in the weeds every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday over on our sister channel, Fightful Overbooked. Myself and Jeremy Lambert talk about the world of wrestling, and we get weird. We just do. But it's a morning show, so everything you expect to happen, it happens there. Cresta and I are live every Thursday here on this channel to talk about TNA. And we'll be live on the 19th. That is a Sunday night to talk about TNA Genesis. Steven Jensen will join us. That will be fun. We'll be all having a ball, and so will you. So, ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Bye.